Hey friend, welcome back to the Babeology podcast. I'm your host Gabby. If you're new to my podcast or my YouTube channel, then welcome. My name is Gabby and I'm a licensed esthetician in Southern California, and I have a studio here. So I just like to do this podcast or these episodes to kind of give out some helpful tips and just share my knowledge. So far, I'm still not 100% confident as a business owner to say do this or do that, but I'm just going to share what I would do and kind of where I would go in my business with the experience that I have now, if that makes sense. So that's that. Before I start, follow me, rate the podcast, it really helps, and hopefully you enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. So this episode is going to be kind of about if I would do it all over, and what I mean by that is would I do everything the same, knowing what I know now, kind of 3 years in. I'm now 3 years into this solo business, and I have definitely learned a lot, but there's still so much that I feel like I need to learn, and I'm so eager still to learn things every single day, and I'm always learning stuff as a business owner. I feel like you never stop learning. So this is just kind of what I would do going into it now, and would I do it all over again? So to summarize that, yes, I definitely would have still done this. I would have gone into business for myself no matter what, because I don't regret doing that. And I feel like even though it's really hard, I know, but not everybody's cut out for it, I definitely wouldn't change that. I made the decision to go into business for myself, but I would definitely have done it a little bit differently. So for starters, my first tip to myself would be take advantage. So if you can relate, or you're wondering, or you're curious, kind of now that I'm 3 years in, somebody who has a little bit of experience, what my take would be, it would be my first tip is to take advantage of all of the resources that you can. And this is me just kind of what I would tell my younger self, or not younger, but going into this self, like starting out self. So I would say take advantage of everything and anything that comes your way. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that you need to take advantage of the knowledge that's being offered to you. Like, really pay attention and take school seriously. And if you see me looking down, it's because I wrote notes. So I definitely would have taken school a lot seriously. I needed to really, you don't know this when you're in school, but I needed to really focus and pay attention to all of the resources that I had literally right in the same room, right in the same building as me for that almost whole year. Hopefully that made sense what I just said, but take advantage of everything that I had in my arm's reach within that almost year that I was in school. I didn't really take the time to get to know the instructors. Well, I had so many. If you know me or if you've watched my journey in school, then you know I went through like so many not professors. We were not in college. We were in regular trade school, but I'm thinking my college days, but I'm talking about esthetician school. When I was in school, I didn't take the time to get to know my instructors on kind of a more helpful level, where they could I could see where they could offer me the knowledge that they had, or all of the experience that they went through up until they became an instructor. Like what got them there, like kind of just to see like how I am now, just to see what got them to that point, where they made certain mistakes, where they feel like they could have changed things, that type of stuff. Just pick their brain. Like, I should have taken advantage and I should have done that, but I didn't. And that's, now looking back, that's because I was so focused on just getting done with school. And that's another thing I feel like I shouldn't have rushed, was just kind of like focusing on the end date instead of just going through it and really appreciating all the time I had. Because when you're in school, it's hard to do that. You just can't wait to be done. So that was me. I could not wait to be done. I could not wait to step out and be graduated and licensed and all that good stuff. But while you're in the process, while you're doing what you need to do, and really just take in and appreciate the journey. I didn't do that. I was hurrying up. I couldn't wait to be done. I also did have a fresh baby at that time. My daughter was only 2 months old. almost 3 months old when I started school. And now looking back, like that was so soon, but I was so focused on her. And I think a lot of it too was just kind of distracting myself from the fact that I did now have a baby. I was just focusing like, what am I going to do with my life to make things better? I was kind of in a time crunch to get myself on track so that I could offer something, provide something now that I was going to have to be home with her. So that was a whole different thing. But if that's not your case, definitely appreciate your journey and take the time to really focus on school, like, and look around, really appreciate everything that you have in your building, in the room, like everything. Just take advantage of all that stuff. It seems so small when you think about it, but when you're in that, you never get that time back. That's the number one thing, and that's kind of to summarize that point, is just you'll never get the time back. So appreciate and really take advantage of that time that you have there, even though you don't want to be there. So the next thing would be, in that same point of taking advantage of all your resources, some schools like mine, they did offer classes. So there was like Dermalogica that would offer classes. Sometimes they would do virtual classes. And this is a time where COVID had just kind of ended, so people were allowed to be back in, but it was still iffy. So a lot of the classes were virtual when I was in school. But there were a couple classes that I was able to attend with my class. So in your class, your school should give you credit, some of your credits, some of your hours, or they'll count it where you need it if you do take some classes. So that's another plus. But definitely, like, don't be the one. There were definitely some people who were like, nah, like, I'm not going to take the classes. I don't want to drive, or like, nah, I don't feel like sitting with my classmates if I don't have to, and that kind of thing. But that goes right back into like, take advantage of it, because you might not get it again, or if you do, you'll have to pay, because a lot of classes nowadays are definitely not free. So yeah, I did do a couple of classes while I was in school with Dermalogica, and some of them were because I kind of had to, we were forced, but I didn't really kind of like pay that attention. Like I just mentioned, I wish I should have. I did take notes, you know, like I was interested while they were there, but just to really focus in and be like, okay, like take it all in and store it in my little bank of knowledge for the future. Like I couldn't tell you now what the hell I learned in those classes, but definitely take advantage of Dermalogica, because that's usually what schools use. Whatever skincare line or whatever brands your schools are signed with or contracted with, and whatever products that you're learning about in school, just see if they offer any classes. Like, ask about it. Don't wait till they come to you guys and as a class, or till they come up and say, oh, we're gonna have classes coming up, do you want to join, or are you gonna go, are you gonna sign up? No, like, ask them in advance when you sign up for school. Like, ask what classes are offered, what classes do you usually recommend, what classes are available. Like, just ask up front. That way you can have it calendared out, you can schedule it to really focus on it and make sure that you're able to attend. So that's another big thing. Looking back now, I really wish I would have asked more, because there were a lot of classes I'm sure I missed out on because I just wasn't asking. So that's a big one. And then sign up for classes outside of school. There's a lot that we don't know as students. When you're a student, you don't know what's out there because you just don't know. How are you going to know what you don't know? So, and that goes into exploring explore your industry, explore what you have around you. I feel like I'm saying that weird, explore. Like, I didn't know about Glymed, first of all. I didn't even know about SkinScript that much, but if any brand that I would have learned about in school, I should have looked into them more. And mind you, a lot of them are only for licensed estheticians, so you do have to be licensed to even make an account with them. But just kind of like be nosy, go in, and it just kind of takes some time to research and just kind of be a little nosy and see what classes are out there. You know, don't be afraid to ask, or is this only for licensed estheticians? Can I take the class even though I'm in school? Because sometimes they let you make a student account with them. That's another thing I wish I would have explored a little bit more outside of just what I was learning in school. I should have definitely taken all of the time that I had extra while I was sitting in class sometimes to reach out, like send emails, use that time to like get to know new brands, look through their feed, look through their website, see if they have resources that are free, because a lot of them do. that type of thing. Just kind of go in and be nosy, like search for new classes, new resources. All of that stuff will help you. Nothing is gonna hurt if you're gonna learn. If it's something new, it cannot hurt you to learn it. So I wish I would have done that. Another thing would be to just kind of appreciate the peers that you have in your class at school. And it comes back down to, again, like, you don't want to be there. You don't want to have to be around all these people. Some of them you really can't stand to be around, and I get that. There's a lot of class environments where you probably just cannot stand any of them. It just depends, I guess, on the vibe of your class, and every group of people are different. But the people that you do kind of get along with, or that you kind of can see that you vibe with a little bit or somewhat, kind of just like bounce ideas off, watch each other. I did do that, but I should have done it more when I was in school, and just kind of like observe, give some helpful tips, like just help each other out without it being weird, or without it being kind of like not competitive, but not a collaborative vibe, like collaborate with people, really get to see what they might need help with, and ask them like what they think about your work or what you're doing or your technique and stuff like that. So I should have done that more. I did do it a little bit. I kind of am glad I did talk to a lot of the girls that I did. A lot of them were really nice. There were some that you just don't really vibe with, you don't click with, and you don't really talk to them, but that's fine because you don't talk anyway. But I will say I'm still really cool and kind of close with one of my classmates that I met later on when she was already going to graduate. And she's so helpful. I really, really love her. And if you are in Redlands or close to Redlands, her business name is The Skin Lab, and her name is Angie. But yes, she's really nice. So she was one person that kind of gives me, before I graduated, she definitely helped me a lot, because she graduated a long time before I did. And by a long time I mean months, but she graduated a while before I did, and she kind of had that leverage to like know a lot more. By the time I graduated, she was always giving me tips. She still does. So she's the best. There's people like that, and then there's some people that maybe will never talk to you again, or you text them, they might leave you on red once you graduate and they want nothing to do with it. But that's fine. If you can, while you're there in class with people, it's better to just kind of like make those connections while you're in person. So that's one tip I would say, and that's just kind of like making friends, so that's one thing. If you're not a friendly person, take that into consideration, that it could definitely help you and kind of pivot you into the right direction when you do graduate, and have somebody to kind of back you up. So that was something I'm glad I did. I should have taken more advantage of it though. So another thing would be follow, so it goes back into kind of being nosy. Like, don't be weird, but find out who's in the industry, who you might look up to. There's a lot of different professionals in the industry who are experienced, who have a huge following. Some of them might have a huge following and it's not what it looks like. Some of them probably don't have a huge following, and you really look up to them, even though they maybe aren't that much more advanced than you are, but you just like what they post, stuff like that. You just find your vibe, follow the people you look up to, see how their technique looks, just look at their page and see what you like, see what you don't like. That kind of sets the tone for what you want and what you should do when you graduate. And maybe you'll think of things that you didn't even think of before. Some people have different tools that you might not have seen. So I wish I would have done that. I've been a little more kind of like exploring different professionals before I graduated, because I didn't really do that until I graduated, and that's when I made like my Instagram and I started following people. But by that time I could have already known so much more just looking at other people's work and just kind of seeing what they post. So that's something I definitely recommend, is just make your account. I always say do separate. I would not do the same account until I would not do a separate account until you're ready to kind of like make your name or start building up your brand. But if you're in school, start out there with like your vulnerable group of followers. It might be uncomfortable, but on your personal page is where you might want to post your progress, like your before and afters, stuff like that, because once you post and make your brand and start creating your brand, that's kind of like the image that people will keep in mind when they see your page or when they remember you. So I would say be nosy, start looking at your inspos on your personal page. Then when you're ready to kind of like go off and create your brand, make your separate page and then follow them on that one too, or start over right there and kind of just build off of your new page. But in terms of progress and stuff like that that you need to post while you're learning, I would say keep it on your personal and then make your professional page and start posting like what you want to be known for on there. So the next thing would be network. And kind of just be uncomfortable. It sucks to be uncomfortable, but network a little bit more than what you feel comfortable with. What you might think is networking maybe just means that you're saying hi to somebody. That's not really networking for introverts like me, because I'm very introverted. I was a lot more introverted back then when I first started out. I don't know how to control it, but I'm so introverted. It sucks sometimes, but I've learned how to be uncomfortable with it, because I know that my uncomfortable is kind of like somebody's normal friendly level, and that for me is like I'm doing the most, talking to people, making conversation. That's super uncomfortable for me sometimes, and I even feel very awkward talking to people when it's probably to someone else or the next girl it's just a normal conversation, and I'm over here like sweating because I'm really going out of my way to be talkative or start communication or just have a dialogue with someone that's maybe in the same room with me. So get uncomfortable. And if you're not introverted, that's even better, because you have that upper hand there. You can literally talk to anybody if you're extroverted and have great conversation. And with great conversation, you'll find you learn things about people. So that's one thing. It's just get uncomfortable. If it's not comfortable for you, it's okay. Just get uncomfortable, talk to people. Don't be afraid to talk to anybody. Like if somebody looks mean, then maybe they're having a bad day, but just say like, hey, like how's your day going? You just never know where a conversation will go. And I've learned that now that I've been in this business. So you never know where a conversation will go, and it might be uncomfortable, but just try. So another thing is once you're licensed, so once I was licensed, I didn't really take advantage of the trade shows, and there's not a bunch, but there are plenty that you could get a lot of knowledge from or learn about new brands. But I wish I would have gone to like way more trade shows. I think I've gone to a total of 3, and that's because I've gone like every year. So and they do different states, different cities. So if there's one that you can access, if it's close to you or somewhat not that far, then I would say take advantage and really try to go to the trade shows. There's some in Vegas, and there's some in LA, there's Pasadena, there's a bunch, Long Beach, there's I think those are the only ones in California. Those are the big ones. But there's Vegas would be like kind of far. But I would say like make a trip out of it. Like don't be afraid, go to the trade shows. I wish I would have gone to a lot more starting out. Definitely I love going to them now, but I wish I would have started going to them a lot sooner. So, and that's because there's so many companies there. There's new brands, there's brands that are not really online and have a presence online because they don't put their funds into online marketing, and it's like a big company and you're just kind of like, why haven't I never seen it? But it's because they're more professional in the industry and they're not for like the media content stuff like that. So you'll be surprised, you might find really big brands and you're just kind of confused why you've never seen them, because they look really big, and most of the time they are, and they're well known, but they're just not well known online because they don't spend the money on online marketing because they don't really need it. So that's one thing. You might find like your golden products and whatever you might find at the trade shows that you stick to. You wish you would have known about them sooner. You just never know what you're going to find there. Definitely take advantage of the trade shows. They're not really that bad in price either. They're usually like, I don't know, maybe $100 to get in, or $80 or something like that. But it's an investment. It's a write-off. Definitely, I would say take advantage. So trade shows, and they do come around every year. So if you miss one, you gotta wait for the next one. Explore the industry. I wish I would have explored the industry and kind of dabbled in the more professional side of it, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I wish I would have gone into it a little differently. So I know that I did European when I started waxing, and that wasn't a horrible experience at all, but wasn't my favorite. It did teach me a lot, but I wish I would have started out with the harder stuff first, meaning I wish I kind of would have gone into the medical side of it. But at the time, I didn't really even know anything about the medical side of it, like aesthetics, not regular aesthetics, but like medical aesthetics. I wish I would have gone into the med spa side of it and gotten a job starting out at a med spa to learn and to really just like build up from there and build my roots in a med spa, so that going out of a med spa, or whether I would have stayed or not, I can kind of pivot from there, because I feel like that's where you get all the knowledge that a lot of people are looking for in terms of skin and modalities like machines, peels. It's just really in depth. Unless you're an esthetician who's only doing like brows or lashes, then that's different. You know, that's not the advice that would apply to you. But if you're kind of like not sure, because I just wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to focus on, I was doing lash extensions at that time. I definitely hate doing lash extensions, wouldn't do it again ever. But at that time I wasn't sure, so that's what I should have done. I should have just kind of started there and then worked my way down instead of trying to work my way up, if that makes sense. I would have started there and then explored waxing. Let's say I wouldn't have like the med spa industry, or once I kind of ran my time at a med spa, then go into waxing, see if I would have liked waxing, add that into my bucket. Then I would have had like a really professional bucket by then. So I would have done that. I wouldn't have gone straight into European. I would have probably done European second, if even at all. Who knows where I would have been if I would have started at a med spa. And now everybody wants to be at a med spa, so it's really hard to get into them. And that kind of sucks, because it makes it harder to get that experience. So I would have started at a med spa. Back then it wasn't that hard to get into one. You could literally be like an assistant at a med spa, and they had med spa openings all the time. I would always see them. I just wasn't interested. I don't know why. Anyway, I would have done that. I definitely wish I could get into a med spa now, but that wouldn't make any sense. So it gives you the opportunity again to know what's out there medically or more professionally in depth with aesthetics. And lastly, I still would have opened my studio. I definitely would not have changed that for anything. I am so thankful and I'm so blessed to have the ability to maintain a business like this. I know that it's not that easy today. Like, if you were to be licensed and want to open a studio, things are so expensive. It's hard to find spaces. Everybody wants to open a salon suite. So I'm so thankful that I kind of ran into this space that I'm in when I did, and that it worked out the way it did. It was all a blessing, and I can't thank God enough that it worked out the way it did, because I wouldn't have this space or my business if I didn't find this exact space, because I feel like it would have been too much, or I wouldn't have enough space. This is like a perfect place, and I'm so grateful that I have it. So I would have definitely still made this decision knowing that I have this space. Like I said, though, I would have kind of, my progress and journey up to this point would have been a little different knowing what I know now. My advice though is, if you want to open a studio, definitely have something to fund your goal or your dream, because it's not cheap even now. And that's me talking. I would give myself that advice, which I did have a part-time job when I opened this. I was working at European. I still had a side thing going on where I worked with somebody, so, and it was work from home, so it worked out. But if you can have a part-time, and I say that you really should try to make that happen if this is your goal, to have a studio or have your own business. Have something to fund that goal, because it's expensive, and what you make off of clients, even if you have clients and you're experienced and you're confident in your work, that money's just gonna fly right out of your pocket and go right back into rent, supplies, utilities, insurance. Like there's so much on top of just having like to buy supplies. It's so much deeper than that. You know, like my TV broke recently. I had to buy a TV. My TV at home broke at the same time, so it's kind of like, do I buy a TV for here, or do I save money for my TV at home? And they broke around the same couple days. So it's stuff like that. Like you still have a home life, you still have bills, you still have to pay gas, you still have to eat, stuff like that. But then on top of that, you have like your business stuff that you have no choice, you have to pay. So have something to fund that goal. If that's your goal, is to have your own place or to be solo and not really have to share a space with someone or rent from someone, or even if you do rent from someone, same thing, you're still gonna have to pay for stuff. It's not just like come to work and save all that money for yourself. No, it's like come to work and you're literally working to pay the rent for that week, or you're working to pay your insurance, you're working to put gas in your car. It's not just like free money. And I think a lot of people forget that it's not just I made $60 off of this Brazilian, let me go buy some shoes now because I had money from the last Brazilian that I did. Like, no, those 2 Brazilians might have equaled what I need to pay for a bill, my insurance, my utilities, something. It's just not free money. So have a backup so that if you're not having a busy week, if you've been having a slow month, if you've been having like a slow few months, you have something to back you up. That way your business money can be free money for you. So that's one thing I'm glad I did do. I wouldn't have changed that. I'm glad that I did have another stream of income, multiple streams of income at that time. And I still do. I still have multiple streams of income because you just never know. And it's always good to have a backup. So, and it gets slow. Let me tell you, it does get slow. It's definitely not always all fun and booked and I'm so busy all day. Like I'm definitely not. Now that I had my second baby, even worse, because some people cannot come in on the days that I have. So I feel like I lost a few clients, but that's fine. You know, you lose and you gain. To me, it's not a big deal. But it does suck because it happens. So have a backup. I would say also, if now that I know how this all went down for me, and now that it's my 3rd year in this space as a solo business owner, I would have gone into it a little differently and with a little different mindset. I was a little more naive, which is good. That's why I started it, because I was so naive. I didn't really know what went into this type of business or really even owning a business. So like this, like a physical business, I had an online business before, but I would say going into it, I would have definitely gone into it knowing that I can only trust me. And when I opened this studio, I at the time was giving the idea or the notion that this was like a shared business, or that it was not just solely mine. And that I don't want to come off and say that like in terms of it sounding like, oh, this is just my spot, like my studio. No, because I definitely went into this with like open arms and wanted the person that I had in here previously to feel super comfortable and welcome. But I think the wrong idea came out of that, and it kind of was almost like it was shared. And I could be wrong, but that's how I feel now. But definitely go into your business confident and set your standards, stand your ground, and set boundaries going in. It's nerve-wracking and it's really vulnerable to put yourself in that position. It's a really, really vulnerable position to be in because you don't know what you're doing. You're just starting out. So me and the other person that I rented to, we were both new. So we both didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was doing as a business owner, coming into a physical place like a studio that it's now I have to pay rent for and stuff like that. But yeah, be confident in that. If you worked hard and you opened your place and you put money into top to bottom into opening it, be confident in that. You know, there's a way to do it humbly, but I definitely wish I would have stood my ground a little more and been a little more confident in the fact that I did build this studio and I built my clientele. And yeah, that was just a huge mistake I made. So, and also makes you realize that you need to be a little more, I don't know, I don't want it to sound like I'm snotty about it, because I'm not. I'm definitely not, and I want to be as humble as I can about it, because I do feel humbled. But just going in with confidence. That's what I wish I would have done. Confidently knowing that people come, people go, and that's just life. Like, not everything should be personal. Some things get personal, but staying quiet is not always, really isn't ever the solution. So just to keep it short, anyway. Yeah, and then the last thing would just be, I wish I would have taken my vision serious, a little more serious. Again, it comes back down to, I didn't know what I was doing. Getting clients was scary. I was getting them, but I was scared to lose them, even though they were not, some of them, because a lot of clients that started out with me in the beginning that were loyal are still loyal to me. So anyway, yeah, I just had a blank moment. But going for the vision, basically, yeah, taking myself seriously, going for the clients, taking the clients that I had seriously, but not with the scarcity mindset that I'm gonna lose them. Because half the time, if you're offering a deal on Groupon, like I was at that time, I was mostly getting my new clients through Groupon. A lot of them would not come back. So understanding that people come, people go again. So you might have clients that come in twice and then never see them again. I would have just been a little more accepting of that if I could tell myself then, like, it's all right, you're gonna gain more clients, you'll be fine. Because I would beat myself up over that. Like, I'd be so sad. Like, if I had a client 2 times in a row and I never saw them again, I would think that it was me. But sometimes it's not you. Sometimes you're not for people. People are not for you. They might not be able to afford your full price service. They just needed the deal, but you at the same time just needed the experience and the practice and that little bit of money. So everything works out. Everything's always going to be fine, and nothing is ever as bad as you might feel. And even if it is that bad, it could be worse. So that's my advice. Hopefully this wasn't too long, but I just wanted to kind of give my little 2 cents on starting out, and also let you know, if I could start over, would I? Yes. And what would I do differently? So I appreciate you for listening. If you listened this far, go ahead and like, subscribe on YouTube, and rate this podcast if you listen to podcasts wherever, Apple or Spotify or whatever it is. And I will see you or talk to you in the next one. Bye.